Shaun Day.
Woohoo!
Shaun Day, boys and girls.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
How are you, sir?
I'm suffering from the Irish flu, or I think you
Mm-hmm.
know it as a hangover.
Oh, brutal. Were you at the pub?
I did make a small trip to the bar yesterday. Yes, indeed. Yes. So,
For a little bit of the brown or a little bit of the black?
I'm a Guinness drinker, man. I'm a Guinness drinker. Like I'm born and bred Guinness. It's good for you. That's what the advertising says. I believe it.
Yeah.
And no whiskey on top of that?
I gave up drinking whiskey about 30 years for the protection of humanity.
Yeah, I love it.
In fact, in any pubs I drink in, their understanding orders never to give me whiskey.
Unleash the beast, basically.
Let's just say that I had a long and interesting acquaintance with whiskey that I decided to discontinue.
Nice. Very nice.
Always a wise move once you get past a certain age.
Yeah. Oh, I had a long relationship with just beer, and I have slowed that dramatically down. I don't drink like I used to. Anyway, all right. So Shaun, what's going on in the world, man?
Not a lot. I've been some good news from I got 20 miners up and running today. So
Holy shit!
I'm back in the game.
Nice.
Yeah. So I will be either making $3 a month or something, and I'm minting it, baby.
That's awesome.
Well, you guys mining those new BTC NFTs, or what are you doing?
He'll make all the fees from that.
Yeah, no, I'm just we're you know I as the name may give away, and I've decided I haven't been bearish enough on this show, so I'm going to go properly bearish soon. Okay,
all right.
As the name may give away, I'm hyper bearish, but the price of hardware at the moment, it's just robbery. So I'm intending to just keep buying miners on the way down. I'm basically TWAPing miners.
I love it. And couldn't be probably a better investment long term. That's beautiful. What's so you've been setting up a facility there for mining, right?
Yeah, we're still in planning for that. So this is just like toe in the water stuff. Yeah. So my architects tell me as of this morning that we should get planning to start building by the summer.
Nice. Very nice. Well, you introduced me to those guys at, is it pronounced Silling?
Skilling, I call it. In fact, I'm going to have to say Mark is partly responsible for my hangover if he's listening.
Ah, very nice. Very nice. Well, I DM'd them on Twitter, and we're getting set up with it to have them on the show and interview them. But this, for everybody listening, Shilling is which actually is a funny name in this space. Shilling is a manufacturer of systems that take advantage of excess energy, especially in Ireland, where the electricity companies will only buy so much if you're doing things like burning shit to produce electricity or solar to produce electricity. And so the idea of this company is they build these big boxes that you put on site and will take the excess energy that you're producing and mine Bitcoin for you. Is that basically the idea, Shaun?
Yeah, it's they provide systems for stranded energy or underutilized energy, and yeah, they're really cool kids. I love them.
Yeah, they do look young.
Dude, everybody looks young to me. But I think they're really cool. I love the idea of the business. I can't say if it'll be a success or not. I certainly hope it is, and we're trying to do a couple of things with them. And but it's a great story because again, you've got all this energy stuff going around, and yet the reality for miners is that stranded energy is the cheapest, and stranded energy tends to be renewable energy.
Right.
It's almost a magnet for, Bitcoin mining is attracted to stranded energy. And
Right.
stranded energy is renewable energy, and so you get this feedback. I let the guys, Mark, talk for themselves.
Yeah.
Cool company. Again, hope it works out for them. Really, when you speak to them, they're good guys. Yeah, they're confident. They know what they're at.
Awesome. When you're a minor investor in that,
tiny. Yeah.
In that organization. Chuck says, looks like Shaun has a new hairstyle from that spiffy new profile pic. And Niblet says, yeah, looks like SBF has been masquerading as a TA bear. I feel so cheated.
I'm actually sitting in my parents' mansion on the West Coast on $225
Show us the ankle bracelet.
I might as well mess that up now, okay?
Interviewing for your professorship at Stanford.
Absolutely, or my new role in the SEC.
Well, there you go. That's
right,
absolutely right. I think you're taking over for Gensler when he goes to Treasury.
No, Whiskey Joe Kennedy, the new one.
There you go. All right, so tell us 6K. What's happening?
Okay, so like anything.
Let me share your screen. Sorry.
Yeah, like anything. That's just my trading screen. Don't read anything into that. I read into what you will. I kind of took the last week and a half to stand back from it because the danger as a trader in this wonderful world of crypto is that we get such long bull runs and such long bear runs that it's very easy to trap yourself into narratives. Yeah. Up only, down only. And that's the real danger, I think, for any trader. And we've been going down so long and I've been bearish so long that I spent the last week trying to, and I know I jokingly say I only trade lines on charts. I really don't. I use lines on charts. And I tried it, and I'm going to say before I go into this, okay, because I'm going to say it once only, because none of this is financial advice. Yeah, none of this is a recommendation to people do anything. But what I'm going to describe is my thought process on why I've never been as bearish on Bitcoin in its entire history as I am today.
Wow! Holy shit! All right.
And that does not mean I don't think we're going into a bull run. I'm talking about how this bear market ends. And I've so I wrote down a few notes for myself over the week and going, look, stand back from the lines on the charts and let's look at because all trading is a game of chess. Yeah? There are pieces moving all over the place, and some of the pieces have more significance, and I try to do this. So what I came down to is first of all, I'm going to say this, and again, I'm going to repeat one last time, not financial advice. If you thought the crypto winter of 2022 was bad, this is going to feel like the fucking ice age. Okay, that's my honest opinion. Okay? And a bunch of reasons. So if we pull way back and look at the geopolitical situation, we're in the middle of a hot war in Europe, and that's unprecedented. We've got an escalating Cold War between China and the West, or China and primarily the US, with Europe doing as it's told as ever. We're in the middle of a deglobalization process. Okay. We have a new feature of seizing sovereign funds of a state. Okay. We, in both Europe and the US and elsewhere, I presume, we're in the middle of what I'm going to call a cultural civil war. Yeah. Almost turned hot civil war in your part of the world on November the 6th or whatever. Yep. And over here, even in my own little town, we have rampant street protests now against immigration, which is slightly hilarious since the Irish basically we've been guests in other people's countries for 150 years, but I'll move on from that. That kind of weird fucking thing. And, we also have West versus Islamic culture going on.
Yeah.
Okay? So, to add some spice into the stew, I think it's always good to look at what's happening geopolitically. That doesn't necessarily mean price is going to tick up or down in the next hour, but it certainly sets a context.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I look at the macro, I'm not getting into global warming and all of that. That's kind of a slower, slower burn stuff. But
Are you going to quote this guy next?
As somebody said, if you ever wanted a representation of overinflation, inflation affects us all differently, apparently. So, oh Jesus, who am I to be fat shaming? On the macro front, we've got QT, obviously, and whatever spoofology people like to think about QE in China, show me the money. We have increasing interest rates, probably heading towards 6%. I'm only starting, Roberta. Dude, I'm only fucking starting.
Roberta said Shaun is on fire.
Okay. And the only macro chart I give a flying fuck about is called the GXY, which is on a moonshot for the rest of the year to 120. Okay, we discussed this before.
Yep.
So, up, down, little things on weekly basis. The macro environment sucks dick, in my words. Okay, and people can argue with that, but I'm pretty confident we're heading to 6%, and so on. If we look then at the crypto space, without looking at any specific things, okay, we're in the middle of a regulatory stranglehold. Yeah, we're being cut off from the banks.
Yeah,
we've got, and again, I'm not opining on the rights or wrongs of this. The rights and wrongs don't give them, it's happening.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong because it's happening.
Gensler and crew have got us in a headlock, and they're choking.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're choking hard. All the bad actors haven't been washed out, and I just want to say one thing on this that I keep reading, which I smile wryly at. If it wasn't for Joe Kwan and SBF, we'd be at 35 grand now. And I go, there's a very selective view of history, because if it wasn't for these long degens, we never would have got to 69.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So you got to balance history a bit. You can't just say, if
it's just them. Yeah.
There's two sides to this. Bad actors are not taken out and are going to be taken out. We have a huge volume of unexpressed risk, okay? By which I mean, very simple, short list, yeah? Mt. Gox, Binance, Grayscale, corporate holdings are starting to sell, okay? So when people go, where's the selling come from? That's 1.5 million coins of potential sell pressure.
Right.
Without me digging hard, okay? On the technicals, I'm going to say one thing, okay, which is Bitcoin's strongest ever technical support has just been demonstrated to be, this is the 200 weekly moving average, is demonstrating it to be insurmountable resistance.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, like everybody who has had the displeasure of listening to me drone on will recognize this line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Test, reject. We talked about this zone. Last week about where we've got this huge confluence of resistance. We have the death cross, the 50 to 200, and this resistance here.
Ed Jude says, thankfully, I'm listening to this with a beer. Sounds like I'll need something stronger.
Again, personal opinions. Yeah, we all get to make our own choices in life. Yeah, but I genuinely sat back and questioned my entire bearish thesis, and there is only one bullish case. Okay. And the bullish case is this line, which is a line I drew, which went, we broke out. Yeah. We've come back and we retested, and this looks bullish. Yeah. We can go back to these lines. And then I go, well, you know, there's actually precedence of this where we broke out, and then that sounds like a fucking iPhone.
It is a fucking iPhone.
For fuck's sake. So, bloody marketing people.
All anyway. Apple all the time.
Fanboy.
So in terms of like, we do have in recent history this 2019 case where we did this, we broke out of our bear structure, and then we shit the bed. Okay. And my own personal view is that we're so going to shit the bed here that it's phenomenal. And then I'm just going to put some numbers on it, okay? Because I put 6K in my name for a reason. And I know people keep thinking that I'm talking about ETH when I go $300, and they think it's some anti-ETH thing. And I'm going to go, look, here's a thesis for $300 on ETH. It's really fucking simple, yeah? We've tested this support, okay? We've bounced. I have personally 0 doubts, none whatsoever. We lose this support. There's only 2 other supports in the game, yeah? $435 and $291. That's it. It's thin fucking air, okay? And with respect to what I see happening, I'm pretty confident that we hit the bottom line. So to put this in percentage terms from today, okay, the best case is a 73% drop, okay? And for me, the realistic case, and I'm going to do the same to Bitcoin. This is not an anti-ETH thing. The realistic case is another 80% down on ETH. Okay, so again, this is just lines on the chart and you know, taking into account all the other factors, and I won't go into order flow and wave counts and all this kind of stuff. With respect to Bitcoin, again, let me just, the levels are really simple. Let me just turn everything off here. Okay. Again, there's no complexity in identifying levels on Bitcoin, okay, as there is in ETH, okay? So there's only so many number of levels that count. So we've got the 13.8 number,
right?
Which I'm moving on about. Okay, we've got the 10K number, and I'm beginning to believe Shizzy, which is 10K is a meme, because I actually think well done, Shizzy, you got me thinking about it, buddy. And due to everything that's going on, and primarily the unexpressed risk, I think there is 0 possibility, again, my own, 0 possibility that 13.8 forms a bottom. I think there's 0 possibility of that kind of 10K forms a bottom. And I'm personally extremely confident that we will wick 6,000.
Yeah, that's, what's that percentage drop?
For Bitcoin, I think that's about a 70% drop or so. And again, look, you know, it's 70, 71, 72% drop.
But Shaun, do you think it's like a slow bleed out, or do you think it's a massive wick down V-shaped recovery? I mean, or it's at bottom? Not financial advice, of course. I'm just curious.
My opinion is we'll grind down, and then we'll have some kind of a capitulation event, and that will stay at 6,000 and change for approximately 4 to 6 minutes.
Got it. Okay.
But you know, I'll you know, a lot of the history of Bitcoin, but I think anybody shilling you a bullish narrative now is a complete fucking idiot. That's literally how I feel about it. And I decided today was the day that I would just step back and be myself.
Love it. Love it. What keeps us, I mean, do you think that's strong enough at 6 that it does bounce there? Or
yeah, I
are we looking at 28?
No, I think 6, again, putting the way all of the pieces on the board are moving. Yeah. So it's not just one factor, it's many factors. And
sure.
It's not just in Bitcoin, it's in the rest of the world. 6K is basically the most solid support in Bitcoin after 13.8. And I do not believe there's a snowball chance in hell that 13.8 can hold. Okay. No. Even for those who are into lines on charts, and I know rightly that Euphorica was going, well, hang on, you had this rule if we broke out here, and you're absolutely right. But the fundamental point is, for me, this is a fake out of the structure. Yeah. And when you get these fake outs out of a structure, you have to paint fake outs on the other side of the structure. That's how it works.
Okay.
Which means that we have to lose 10K and the next support is 6. That's, again, another element in all of this. Yeah.
Niblet says, just because you've dropped 95% doesn't mean you can't drop another 95%. Roberta says, is the low probability for 13K derived from TA or because of the macro development?
It's technical. So 13.8 is, again, you know, we've discussed this. You know, what's the 13.8 number? It was a monthly top back in 2017. It was the point of rejection back in 2019. And we could also do a situation, I wouldn't put this past us, where this can hold on a monthly level, as in the monthly candle closes at 13.8, yet we wick to 6.
Right.
You know, so again, I wouldn't rule out something like that. I mean, 13.8 technically is technically strong support, but all bets are off here. I mean, I did comment rather rudely. I think Brad, you or Niblets or somebody, could have been Shizzy, had done this wave count, which showed us going straight up to, 156,000.
Yeah, that was not me.
No, I think somebody commented on it, and I go, like, I spend a long time studying waves. Okay, so let me give you the
that was a great comment. I fucking love that comment.
So let me give you a basic wave count on Bitcoin. We've done a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Anybody who understands waves realizes that we have to do an ABC correction, yeah, which is actually what they call an expanded flat correction. It's also the only time that price after this is ever allowed to go beneath the last height, which we did. This is the master wave count. Okay, this wave count doesn't need to have a bottom. So again, lots of other technical factors I would use, wave counts and so on, and I won't bore you with all the details. But again, I stand back from when I look at every layer geopolitically down, okay, all the way down to my lines on a chart, and I'm going, what drugs are bulls on here? Like, seriously, we're in a fucking stranglehold. Money can't get in.
Yeah.
Cocaine bulls, man.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to be a bear. I'm fucking spot long Bitcoin, okay? But I also don't want to be stupid. So I went off and questioned my thesis, and I decided I am not bearish enough in this situation. And my response to that is just to keep fucking shoveling shorts into this. Again, I will always remain spot long. Okay, but I've made a decision to go from 30% short, probably to 50% short if the market can give me a little bit of a bounce to start shoveling in. That's where I'm at. What does that mean to your shitcoins if I'm right? And again, massive if I'm right. Well, if ETH goes down 74 or 80%, I don't know what your local shitcoin does. Okay, so I'm not recommending anybody to do anything. I am advising maybe think through the horseshit FOMO that's out there and ask yourself, what is this app based on?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you pointed out all the, like we talked about the deglobalization going on. I mean, I don't see any, there's not going to be any rate cuts coming in the U.S. for a while. So there's not going to be any stimmy money here. You've got, like you said, the hot war in Europe. You got, China trying to pick a side or run the fence line, like they usually do. The only thing I could see is if they try to embrace, and I'm not talking about stimmy funding, but if they, come back to like full on crypto instead of it all banned, could that have any effect? But, that's the only thing I could see out there possibly. I don't know if it's enough to overcome everything else. Like you said, the GBT stuff. Somebody else said, what happens to Saylor if Bitcoin goes to 6? I think it's like, what's his number? Like 17 or something?
Saylor is a different situation because for Saylor to be technically liquidated, it has to be at a price at a time in the future. It's a term loan.
Right. Okay.
Michael said, what would the 6K scenario mean for Saylor?
I don't think it means anything. Now, in terms of, I don't think it triggers a liquidation because what he has is in effect a term loan. So the price has, if he can't service the loan, regardless of the price of Bitcoin, he's in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he talked about that he can't post any more collateral if price gets below 35.62, but that they have other assets to service the loan if that should happen.
It's not Saylor. It's we
MicroStrategy.
We've got GBTC. We've got Mt. Gox. The coins are coming. Yeah. And so on, and we have Binance.
Yeah.
But Binance, again, whatever you think the rights or wrongs of it, I think CZ is going to have to add number 5 in his pinned tweet, which is in custody.
Yeah, there's definitely a target for sure. A lot of people are talking about like the BUSD, kind of, I don't know what they even call it, elimination play that's going on. That people are converting into BTC with that, and that's been driving a lot of the recent rally. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I posted some data in the Telegram that gives some weight to it. It's not definitive, but if you look at the CVD for BUSD, it's been driven up. And so the play is you use this money that's not collateralized or worthless to buy Bitcoin while the market still perceives it as value. Okay. And you buy Bitcoin with it, but you exit on the USDT pair. Okay. So not only are you're actually making money off this BUSD, okay, by utilizing the perceived value of it to drive the price up, and you're exiting at USDT.
Yeah.
Again, I think there is some evidence to support that. I don't think it's conclusive evidence. Draw your own conclusions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what's my invalidation? Because I was thinking about this and I went, my only invalidation to this is when Jay Powell hits the print button.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
I think a move to 6K will be accompanied by a black swan kind of event where he may be forced to do it. Again, I could be wrong.
Right.
Yeah. But
would you say
market? If people think this is a bull market, I can't help them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, do you feel like 6,000 is inevitable no matter if economic conditions changed for the positive?
I've been trying to avoid 10K because Shizzy doesn't like it. I mean, we could grind to 10. Okay. Bear rise. I'm going to do a bear rise thing for next month. But again, if you just look at the amount of unexpressed risk, I think it's far more probable that we do a grind and then we have, another catastrophe to add to the list of the ones that we had last year. And there's enough of them queuing up. Yeah. And each one of them is larger than anything we had last year in terms of the potential to flood Bitcoin liquidity onto the market.
Yeah. Gotcha. Michael says China's in serious trouble with its housing market. Spend some time studying that. Yeah, we do talk about that pretty frequently here. But they also are pumping in stimulus there as well.
Yeah, but look, that's a $29 trillion vertical market in China, and it's a $14 trillion goose egg getting ready to be sucked off of that. And they're not doing $14 trillion in stimulus. I think it's still like only in the hundreds of billions level. So, that is going to really pound them. And if they get in any, sanctions vice grips over supplying arms to Russia, then I could see something happening just like happened to Russia, seizing foreign currency reserves. So
well, they're certainly posturing in that direction. Did you see that video that came out yesterday, basically labeling all of the United States of America's transgressions, violent transgressions in the world over time, claiming that we've only had 16 years of not being in war in our history. So but pot calling kettle black over there, but
Well, it's like that's their standard playbook, is to deflect. So, their problems are all internal because they have a military that is unable to project force with any meaningful sense. They have not been in anything other than domestic combat. Everybody can poke stones at the West or us or whomever. But that's just the sort of China. When they start saying stuff like that, that shows their flail. And they were just in Europe trying to cut new trade deals, and Germany, which was a surprise, was like no, and they're floating their peace plan proposal, but everybody is saying no. You already sided with the Russians. So I think that the other thing I'm thinking is I did hear some anecdotal evidence today that a couple of their exchanges that are there. Supposedly, like all these big financial networks, almost all the traffic on them is supposedly government people, which makes me think that as we talked about before, with all the biggest miners in the Beijing area up until I guess recently, who were they catering to? We all know about capital flight out of China. It's been going on for 15 years, and most of the government people, they have a stash and they move their families out. They're all over Florida. They buy real estate and then they hang on till they have to flee. So, they're smart about that. So to me, I'm thinking if somehow it got unleashed beyond that to back to the regular people of China, that maybe that could do something. But again, where's the money going to come from?
Right.
So it's going to be tricky.
Shizzy says 10K is the 100K.
Based on that, Shizzy, I went to 6.
There you go. 6 is the 100. Chuck says, is there any argument at all to be made for BTC as a safe haven versus fiat? Why is it still linked to equities and fiat anyway?
Whether we like it or not, and obviously I don't, this is a risk on asset, Chad.
Right.
That's, if you look at the money that caused the last bull run, it's not like my kind of money, which is, fundamentalist Bitcoiner money,
right?
That out of my cold dead hands kind of stuff,
right?
This is money of people who use it as a high beta asset to print money. Yeah, and while we can be derogatory about that, that's the only fucking reason we got to 69K,
right?
So. We have this weird view of history that when it's going down, they're just using it as a toy, but we don't realize that's exactly the reason it gets driven so high so fast as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you still hold that, or not hold that? Do you still think that an ETF could have an impact on this?
Hugely positive impact in the longer term. When the bull starts, and I've written off a bull market this year, again, just based on the Dixie, which is, to me, the most important. Because the dollar is the other side of the equation. We talk Bitcoin dollar,
Right.
So we can look at Bitcoin, but we have to also look at dollar. And to me, the dollar tops towards the end of this year, which infers that there's no bull market, not that I want it, until next year. Again, my personal opinions. And that's it. And with respect to what will the money in Bitcoin be like in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, I would imagine it will be different. But Bitcoin's only actual use case at the moment, and again, coming from a hardcore Bitcoin maxi, is as a trader fucking toy.
Yeah.
And if we don't recognize that, we're fooling ourselves. There's lots of efforts to be made to make it something better than that, but they're not there in scale. So right now, price moved on the money that's causing it to move, and the money treats it like a risk on trader toy.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that evolves and change, and I think it has, but it's not going to turn into an inflation hedge or any of this kind of nonsense that's been out there on Twitter, for the past year and a half. Overnight. This is something that is only 13 years old, 14 years old.
Yep.
It's a petulant little teenager, and it needs to grow up. And it will. Again, as bearish as I am today, and again, never been more bearish in my entire time in this game than today. But I'm equally as bullish for Bitcoin in the next 5 to 10 years.
Nice. Well, and I think real quickly, I just posted up this article, Bitcoin Lightning Network growth is organic, coming from real world adoption. And they're at a capacity of 5,000 Bitcoin now. A lot of things like Strike and others are driving adoption levels or channels being created, but it's a slow grower. This is not like, we're going to ramp up at massive scale.
We got to 70K after 14 years.
Right.
I mean, that's fucking phenomenal. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm a big believer in Lightning, but it's not going to change. It's not sufficient scale to change the dynamics of Bitcoin overnight.
And the other thing, right. And the other thing to remember here is, Bitcoin at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. If you truly believe, and you should do your own research and make your own decisions, but if you truly believe Bitcoin has a strong and powerful future in the world, or crypto in general, then that's life-changing price points for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I've zero plans to sell any of my Bitcoin other than what I do to live. And I've only plans to start mining the shit out of it again.
Yeah.
That's genuinely, these ups and downs, and I do genuinely believe that people are not recognizing how brutal this is going to be. My personal opinion does not shake my confidence in Bitcoin in 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
This is the nature of the business where we completed wave 5. It's the first time that we're technically allowable to go below the last all-time high of 20. We did it. I think it's got a ways to go. But my faith in Bitcoin grows every day, because here's the difference in this bear market. The first bear market I've ever been in, where I watch CNBC and I look at institutional talking heads who are talking about buying Bitcoin at the bottom.
Yeah.
And they would never have considered it. And there is nothing being said about Bitcoin that was always the way that it's going to zero.
Yep. That's a good
That's
point.
true.
That's a very good point.
We're going to ride the bane of the globe. So say the way.
Shaun, it's to your points on trajectory here. I keep seeing that crypto quant chart on the institutional buying that you put up a couple of shows ago, and just how much into GBTC selling if it gets the spot ETF. And I just never realized how much that run up was driven by GBTC buying, and how the lack of buying, then you see it just slowly fading off with the 2% management fee. So of course, when they sell, it should be just as steep of a slope going down, if not steeper, at that point.
Brutal, if it happens, but just to bring up the chart itself. So, again, if you zoom out on the chart, you can see that, and let's just go GBTC, and you go, the bull run was GBTC.
Yeah.
I would imagine the next bull run is a spot ETF.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Not GBTC, but same basic dynamics. Something where people want to get in, and and again, this is a US thing, where wealthy US citizens want to get in, buy GBTC, buy the spot ETF. That creates actual buy demand. But you can see as soon as it was stopped, the market was dead.
We don't have that chart up, Shaun, just so you know.
Oh, sorry. Is that not share? Oh, hang on. Sorry, guys.
No, that's okay, buddy. That's all right.
There we go.
There you go.
Sorry, yeah. So you can see the bull run, because the bull run ended here. Forget this. This is pure trade again. The bull run ended the day GBTC stopped buying. This again, I think I've mentioned it before, but in the case of anybody hasn't or has probably fallen to sleep if they're listening to me, this tail off is just the management fees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is like 2%, I think, right?
Yeah, 2%. So
Okay.
the next bull run, and again, not how I would like Bitcoin to be, but Bitcoin will do what Bitcoin will do until until it finds a use case that isn't as a beta to TradFi, is going to be based around something like a spot ETF where wealthy Americans can comfortably throw money into it, as a managed service, which is all anti-crypto. Yeah.
Yeah,
all
of course.
everything I rail on against. Okay. And yet it's the thing that drives the price up. So say me. But again, to your point, I don't know if DBTC is going to unlock. Well, at some point it must, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just going to retrace all of this, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
It just is. Add in Mt. Gox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What is the timeline on the Mt. Gox releases again?
I'm not sure. I'm a lot of the claims were bought, so there's a question about whether or not the people who bought them are hodlers or sellers or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still an absolute fuck ton of
Yeah. That's going to get dumped.
Enough of which will hit the market, and it'll be an impact point because you've been holding that from $700, and do you want to know, 15K is a great price if you've been holding it from $300.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Robertus wants to know what you think of the S&P 500.
I don't look at it. I mean,
I figured that was the answer.
I look at it. I mean, the only kind of TradFi charts I really look at are the VIX, but primarily I look at the Dixie because it is over any extended period of time the most correlated in terms of large moves on Bitcoin.
Niblet says where Dixie is going, USD is the safe haven.
Yeah, or actually, again, it's a measure of relative decline. I mean, all fiat currency is losing value. That's what inflation does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Dixie is 60% the euro, and the euro is just fucked.
Yep.
Just this. Yeah. And so, yeah, but again, I think we can just overlay Bitcoin with it. It's not complicated to do. So let me just bring it up here. My screen, trading view.
Yeah, particularly with more Fed hikes coming, that exacerbates the differential between European interest rates and U.S. interest rates. So DXY goes up, it attracts more capital. You can get into the banks, insured, safe, and get your 5%, or you could go into equities. So I kind of think it's going to fuel S&P 500 up myself. But I think once it pivots back to Europe, then of course, we're going to get a contraction. I mean, we're talking about just DXY and S&P versus Euro Index, not Bitcoin.
Yeah. So the reason DXY, you can see when the DXY bottoms is when Bitcoin tops, and when the DXY runs is when Bitcoin is going down. Yeah. And we had this pullback in the Dixie. And again, my analysis of the Dixie is we're going to 120 in December of this year. Again, I can demonstrate this is kind of one of the most perfect bits of TA on a longer time frame. And this couldn't be simpler. This is simply painting an A, B, C, D, and then an E down there. That's it, yeah. And again, when you take in geopolitical and everything else that's happening, the rationale behind the Dixie running is there as well. Yeah. So if the Dixie keeps pumping, Bitcoin and crypto keeps falling.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that puts the brakes on that is strong DXY, strong dollar eventually impacts U.S. exports, which then helps push toward recession. So they definitely watch this to see it doesn't go too high. But I don't know, the only way you can bring it down if you're not getting, other than, if the capital flight is still happening inbound, is to lower interest rates to get closer to what the other markets, more what Europe is charging for, or paying for bank deposits. That might create some opportunity. if that gets too out of control. Because coming up with an election in, what do we got, like 18 months or something like that? They're not going to want to have the economy in the U.S. in recession. So if those export sales start really falling off, maybe they will do something to try to bring that down. But that's the only possible other outcome I could see there.
Michael joins on the show today and just basically calls all of us fucking old. And says it's depressing how old we are.
I'm just going to say to Michael, that's another fucking beer you owe me, buddy.
Michael said 5 to 10 years. I'll be approaching your guys' age by then. Sad emoji. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hell yeah.
That's exactly the spirit of the show, buddy. We appreciate you being here.
Brad's the oldest, so just remember that.
Oh, please. I am the youngest. I am the nubile young man. Niblets says, where is F?
That's the Elliott wave count on a structure, Niblets. E, you reverse off E for anybody who's interested. So in a structure, so then the dollar, then the empire is over. Sorry, Joe.
It is.
You know what? I spent some time trying to years ago looking at waves and I found it incredibly confusing. And it may just be because I'm an idiot, but the waves within waves thing was and being able to decide when they get drawn was always confusing to me.
It is slightly subjective, yeah. So I don't use it as, we're at the bottom of wave 3 in the 618 fib, therefore I must do this. But in terms of market structure, I find it very useful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, the reason that and again, this is not, because we could be completely wrong here, where we are now, but we kind of called the top pretty well. We kind of knew that we could go below 20 because of waves. We also knew what the correction type is, which is what's called an expanded flat. And to this moment, it's played out great. Now, that's, again, hubris in this game is negative P&L. So, and I have been overly bearish without some deep analysis for too long. So I went off and I looked at it. And again, I'm just going through kind of, things that I can say here. And I'm going, there is nothing, there is zero for the bullish guys. There's just not, there just isn't.
Yeah. And
I'm sorry if people have something, I'd be quite happy to have a yap, get into the Telegram and so on. But and I would love to. I'm not, the worst thing as a trader is to get married to your view of the market. Because that just prints red and it's dangerous. And I was very married to my bearish view. We broke out of the channel, which was the bit where I was going, this is probably an invalidation. And so I kind of forced myself to go through it. And I came out more bearish than when I went in.
Yeah.
Again, this is a personal opinion.
One quick question, Shaun. I'm looking at the RSI at the bottom. And is that more of a lagging indicator in your mind, or is that how do you look at that? Okay, please.
I use this for what they call divs or deviations, yeah? So to give you a perfect example on Bitcoin in the 4 hours, what and again, for us crazy scalper kids, what you love to see with deviations are things, this is called bullish div. Let me just, my screen is a bit slow. So let me give you an example of bullish div. So here we can see that the price is going down, candle body to candle body, yeah? Okay, and the price and the RSI is going up, okay? This is bullish div, the price is going to pump, yeah? We can see at the top the exact opposite, where price is going up, peak to peak, and RSI is going down peak to peak. Guess the news, price crashes. So these kind of, I use these momentum indicators really for looking for deviation, for these divs, okay?
For the switches, okay.
Another reason that I'm kind of highly bearish here is that if you look at the 1 day candles, you can see we're printing this horrendous bear div, yeah? Price has hit, higher high on price, lower high on RSI. This is not positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, just in terms of timing, the metric ton of Bitcoin I'm shorting here, these kind of things are quite useful.
Yeah.
So that's how I would use tips.
So Shaun beating the shit out of the bulls.
Dude, I don't do that. I send them to the abattoir and have them delivered to the barbecue. and like it's that time of year. And it's spring. The bears are now getting out of hibernation. We're feeling hungry, man.
Yeah.
Time to eat. That's Shaun back in his whiskey days.
People are loving that freaking movie, by the way. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, Shaun, but it's about a bear out here that got into a bag of Coke and somebody decided to turn it into a dark comedy. So
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it, but I love it.
Yeah, me neither.
Absolutely adore it.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it was like some kind of shipment. It was eating like kilos of Coke.
Yeah.
And it goes on a freaking rampage. It's like, duh.
Yeah, no shit.
So I'm gonna shut up about being a bear. This is kind of my goodbye as a bear, and I'm gonna go off and do my DeFi stuff and generally applying on how bad.
Shizzy.
No. I get it, Shizzy, dude. I 100% get it. That like nobody wants to hear this. I don't want to say this. I can only tell you, and I am only telling you what my analysis says. And if somebody presented me with an analysis where I thought I was wrong, I would take my short profits and go, whoopee fucking do, time to long.
Yeah.
I'm not emotive about it.
Yeah, you don't have an emotional attachment to Bitcoin going down. If anything, it's a negative emotional attachment.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to steal more.
When it comes to trading, I don't do emotions. Many ex-wives would say I don't do emotions at all, but let's not go there.
Shizzy said, I can't wait until Shaun's wrong, laughing out loud. And then he says, when he has to come on the show and say, guys, I was wrong, the bottom was 15,000.
Dude, I don't mind being wrong here.
Shizzy, it's really hard to find.
I am not fucking wrong here, dude.
And I don't know. I mean, I've not heard a rational argument so far since you've been coming on the show that counters your arguments, Shaun. That's.
And I would love to hear them because if somebody convinced me we're bullish, I've short profit up the ass at the moment. Yeah, I take it. I go, thank you. I don't want to hand it back at all, and I'd be going long, but.
Yep.
I can't find any rational argument. Any rational argument I hear about, Chinese QE and all this is just bullshit. Like it's meaningless dribble, not backed up by anything whatsoever, other than hopium.
Hopium, wishful thinking. Absolutely.
And hope is not a great trading strategy.
No, it doesn't. It's never worked for me, frankly.
It's better for gambling.
So again, Shizzy,
losing.
Anybody who's kind of thinking, look, he's just a dirty big bear. I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I'm not short because I hate the space. I'm short because every single piece of data. And you can tie Shizzy on the 4-year cycle. So Shizzy and go. If you dig into that, there's a couple of concerns. So, this is a genuinely good point, yeah. What about the halvening cycle? So, first of all, I would say purely on fundamentals. Get out a pen and paper, and you can calculate the impact of the reduction in new supply. Okay, and it's meaningless in this halving cycle. Yeah, we're going to be printing 400 after the halvening. 450 Bitcoin a day into a floating supply of 19.5 million. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. I would suggest that the halvening cycle is probably more linked to US election cycles and to Chinese debt cycles.
Here's what this is the chart Shizzy is referencing for those of you listening. It's the Plan B halvening chart, I believe. Yeah. And he's at 100 trillion USD on Twitter. If you want to see this chart, I'll put it link to it in the show notes. But essentially, it shows every halvening, then what happens to price post halvening, and shows that we are, if based on history is correct, that we should be on an upturn swing here. So
yeah, and first of all, if anybody wants to actually do some research on that and go throw up the Chinese debt cycle. Okay, which actually prints the same bottoms, and look at the Chinese debt cycle.
Can you do that, Brad? Can you do that for us?
And throw up the fact that
Chinese debt cycles. Yeah, let me look at that chart.
It's actually U.S. presidential elections as well. So there's, correlation and causation. I'm going to bring up a chart now. Chizzy is doubting me. I'm doubting, man. I love Chizzy.
Yeah,
but here's what I would say about this. There's an excellent website I'm about to bring up called Spurious Correlations. Okay. And
that sounds perfect.
So spurious. So if we look at this, almost perfectly, which is the US spending on science, space, and technology, okay, is perfectly correlated by suicides by hanging, suffocation. Okay. The number of people who drown in a swimming pool correlates with the number of films Nicolas Cage has appeared in. That might actually be true. Okay. Cheese eating correlates with the number of people who die tangled in their bed sheets. Okay. Just be careful that this is a fucking hilarious thing. Okay?
That site is gold. Holy
I'll post it in
shit.
Telegram. So when you look at two charts that look like they are correlated, okay, without understanding the fundamentals behind it, you're just into cheese eating and bed entanglement debts.
I want to meet the guy that has to track bed entanglement debts.
I didn't even realize it was such a thing.
Who thought? Who knew? Niblet said there's not even a macro argument against it except sunk cost fallacy where money just sits there and so does the price. Sheezy says, haha, no worries. I don't believe in numbers or price, just days before and after for tops and bottoms. Justin Fournier says China credit cycle is massively positive correlated to BTC price and matches the 4-year cycle very well. Michael said, Justin knows. High five, brother. And Niblet says there is some causation in Nick Cage movies and drowning.
Well, I would say just basically anybody who likes film and suicide rates. Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
He hasn't made a great movie since.
Oh my God, garbage. Although, didn't he just make one about harvesting truffles with his pig?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he actually, I watched one. I don't know when he did it, where he was taking the piss out of himself. So like that's always good. But yeah. Again, and again, I know like there's a lot smarter people than me listening to this and just go, but just because things look correlated, unless you understand the mechanisms of correlation, you need to be really careful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, total revenue generated by arcades versus computer science doctorates awarded.
Dude.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Wait, I got to go back to Nicolas Cage a second because I told my son this when we saw the trailer in the movie theater, and I know this is irrelevant, but fucking Nicolas Cage makes garbage movies forever, and then he finally makes a movie about a truffle hunting pig, and he has a 97% Rotten Tomatoes rating. The fuck?
Yeah, I think we need to be very careful about people drowning in pools then.
Yeah.
He can only make good movies. I bet it dropped significantly with this movie. Oh, holy shit, that's hilarious.
Anyway, guys, again, I'm not going to do this again because there's ultimately price decides. I would love to debate with somebody who has a different view to go through these things because I can miss something. I work with some people who are way smarter than me, and our views currently align, don't always. And that's it. But I'm not going to come on every week and just keep going. We're fucked. But I thought I'd do my last one as going, no, we're not fucked. We're really fucked.
Nice. Well, next
I'm
week,
going to get into more interesting crypto stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, next week we can. We're gonna have to think about the schedule for next week, Joe, because you and I are going to be in Denver. So that may be a little chaos. We may skip a week.
Maybe we can find some ETH maxis to go against, Shaun.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I'm trying to set up is I want Shaun to review Cawley Network and give me his thoughts on it. Because then I was thinking if he's intrigued, I was thinking about doing a show where he and the founder of Cawley Network have a discussion, not a debate, just a discussion.
I love looking at this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it would be very interesting for you to ask him questions about what he's doing, because I'm not qualified to answer it, but I definitely would love for you to take a look. So anyway, that episode's going to come out Monday now. Had a little bit of data I was waiting on from the team over there before I put it out, but it's a really intriguing play, radically decentralized. It's going to be really interesting.
Very curious looking at it.
Proof of work, hybrid mining model. Very, very interesting. So,
cool. Yeah, we might want to think about too with that group that I've been talking to, Core DAO, that supposedly has this Satoshi Plus consensus mechanism. It's the white paper's out there online; you can find it. But I was kind of curious about Shaun's take on that one too, just because they're trying to blend the best of both worlds, and they solved the trilemma. And they want to come on the show, by the way, Brad. We're just waiting to see if it's the Mission DeFi or DeFi Lunch. I think a little scared of the live version. So I told him we could always do the other, but that'd be another one for Shaun to weigh in on in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. Justin says you should look at his movie release dates and see if there's a pattern. No, there is a pattern. He definitely is causing all kinds of drownings around the world. We've caused the causation.
What was his last good movie? Was he?
No, that was the one I just put up, the pig truffle.
No, I mean, not the truffle one. Before that, before the 37.
Oh, Jesus, 1981.
Really?
I mean,
he was that old?
Yeah, dude. I mean, he did those first. When did he start doing those silly, protecting the Declaration of Independence movies or whatever?
The National Monument or something. What were those ones called? Yeah. With
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I guess that's the one making fun of himself. It's got an 87.
That is actually worth a watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's got an 87. 2019, he did Color Out of Space, which has an 86. Never heard of it. Spider-Man doesn't count because, Oh, well, he was in the career-saving Teen Titans Go to the Movies in 2018.
Was he the one who was in Just Say Anything? I seem to remember him being in some when he was young. Wasn't he in was he in
he was in
Valley Girls?
Adaptation in 2002.
Was he in Valley Girls?
Oh, I don't know. Jesus Christ, he's done a fuck ton of movies, as Shaun would say. Holy shit. Yeah. Fast Times at Ridgemont High got a 78.
Right.
That's right. Valley Girl, yep. Rumblefish, Birdie, Cotton Club.
I think Rumblefish was his peak. That was
I was going to say. Moonstruck, he got it. I don't even know what the fuck Moonstruck is, but he got a 93 for it. So, anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Interesting. You know what? It'd be fun. I'm going to make my son watch all of his movies that had a 90 or higher rating. And then I'll make him watch all the shows that had a lower than 30.
Then we can bring him on as a guest.
You don't have Child Protective Services in Florida then, no?
Brad's opted out.
I have immunity.
Man. What are you doing?
DeSantis said you could opt out then.
I have full immunity. Shaun, that was fantastic. Thanks so much for being on today, buddy. Loved it. Appreciate it. You're gold. As always with everyone, this is not financial advice, but Raising Arizona. Actually, yeah, that was good. Yeah. Yep. Not financial advice as always. You should always do your own research. I posted a little snippet about my interview with the Bancor guys, and found that there's a lot of people that don't only put in Do not put in only what they can afford to lose. Anyway, thanks everybody. Shizzy says, great show, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Shizzy. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Justin Niblitz. Michael, so excited to have you around, buddy. Euphoric, appreciate you being here as always. Robertus, love having you commenting. And Ed Jude, thank you for joining us today, buddy. Appreciate you being here as well. I don't think I missed anybody, but if I did, I promise it doesn't mean I don't care. I do. Shaun, we'll get you figured out for the schedule next week or the following. Joe and I will be at ETH Denver, so the schedule is going to be a little chaotic. We do have a podcast room on Friday out at ETH Denver, and we got to figure out this fucking schedule because we're going to have like 30 interviews over a 3-day period. It's kind of fucking nuts.
I'm predicting a huge clusterfuck myself.
Well, you know what? None of them have
the time stuff.
You know what? We're already fucking up Mountain Time to Eastern Time, but you know what else? None of them have a fucking location.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too. They all have booths though, I think. So we're gonna have to go track them down, and we might have hired an intern for out there.
It's nuts, dude. It's nuts.
Enjoy your time in Russian oligarch coin land.
There you go. Justin says, great show.
On Friday week, and I'm not going to be a bear. I'm not discussing price.
All right. Excellent. Cool. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review us. It'll help boost us a lot in the algorithm. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button, click the little bell so you get notified about new episodes. And Joe would like for you to smash the thumbs up. That helps boost our rating for all of our shows. If you have ideas for shows, you want to chat with us, there's a forum on the website, but you can always DM either of us on Telegram, Twitter, or Discord. But you should really just join the Telegram, where we're having all kinds of great discussions, and you can interact with the one and only Shaun Bankman-Fried anytime you'd like. And that is at t.me/mission DeFi, t.me/mission DeFi. Join us. We're having fun, learning a lot, and there's a lot of cool topics over there to discuss. Shaun, thank you. Joe, thank you. I hope everybody has a wonderful Friday afternoon and weekend.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Shaun. And thanks, everyone. We look forward to anybody who's going to go to ETH Denver, just message us. We'll hook up with you there. Or any projects you think we want to check out while we're there, message us. We'll check them out for you. But anyhow, thanks again. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye-bye. Bye.